On today's video, I'm going to be diving into Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. After Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers was a success, they immediately rushed into another Halloween movie. This movie came out 1 year later. It was directed by Swiss-French filmmaker Dominique Athanin-Girard. I'm not sure I'm saying his name right, I apologize. According to my friend Christian, 2 years later he directed The Omen 4, The Awakening. I've never seen that movie, but from what he told me, he said it was really bad. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers is a weak movie, but it's not the worst of the series. The first half stinks, but the second half does semi-redeem itself just a little bit. I'll explain later. I hate they killed off Rachel too early in this movie. I liked her character on the last movie, and I was expecting more from this character. I liked her dynamic relationship bond she had with Jamie. Moustapha Akkad said in an interview that he regretted killing Rachel in this movie, and that he wished that he kept her alive longer in the series. These new characters, Tina and her new friends, stink. Cliche, boring, lame characters with no personality. They are annoying and they are not interesting or likable. They are also stupid and dumb, thinking that it's funny playing pranks and giving false alarms to the police. Again, the police are pointing guns at them. They could have been shot and killed. That's not funny.
You big dummies.
Tina's Forever Blonde's friend's boyfriend plays a prank on his girlfriend, pretending to be Michael Myers before they have sex in the barn. What a dummy. It's also the kind of movie you don't care about these new characters whether they live or die, except for Jamie. Like in a lot of slasher movies, it's predictable who's going to live or die. Also, the two police officers were too goofy. Their only purpose in this movie is for comedy relief. They're too similar to the two police officers in Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left. When I was rewatching this movie, and listening to other YouTubers on this movie in the years I rewatched this movie, it did not occur to me that when the police officers leave the house, there's some random background noise and some random clown music. That's just weird, lazy, makes no sense. This is a Halloween movie, not a comedy. Unless you wanted to parody this movie. Also, why is this movie called The Revenge of Michael Myers? Who does he have revenge against in this movie? Another movie title sequel does not make any sense. The plot is weak and makes no sense. The movie opens with a recap reminding the audience of what happened in the last movie, seeing Michael Myers get shot down by the police and hunters, and he falls down the mine shaft. They throw dynamite down the shaft, and of course, Michael Myers escapes. For an unknown reason, Michael Myers was in a coma and lives with a hermit for a year. He wakes up and kills the hermit. I don't understand why the hermit did not call the police and report him. I guess he has no idea who Michael Myers is, but I'm overanalyzing this. The old hermit made me think of the blind man in Bride of Frankenstein, but he's not a blind man. When I was watching this movie, watching behind the scenes, deleted scenes, and alternative scenes on the Blu-ray 4K, I was surprised and shocked having no idea there was an alternate opening to this movie, where instead of the old man hermit, Michael Myers comes across a young guy called Mr. Death, who had a fascination with the occult. His shack was filled with ancient runes and tablets. He performed necromancy. After having Michael Myers for a year, he brings him back to life after finding him. Mr. Death was played by Theron Reed. I have no idea who this actor is. For what I also read, despite this scene being filmed, it was considered a lost scene for many years, until years later it was discovered in the late 2010s, and Shout Factory got the rights to this scene and released on the Blu-ray 4K home media. The scene briefly explains the Thorn Cult. It makes you wonder if this scene would have worked if they had used this scene instead of the Old Man Hermit. But to me, I'm fine okay with the Old Man Hermit. Well, that's the scene I watched a lot with this movie and gotten used to it throughout the years of my life watching this movie. It was an interesting alternative scene, but nothing special that saves the movie. One way they had the way Halloween 4 ended, that they were going to go in the direction where Jamie Lloyd was going to be the killer in this movie. But the writers decided not to go in this direction because they're worrying about Halloween 3 season of which poor results. They decided to bring back Michael Myers again. If they went the route of Jamie being the killer in this movie would have been called Halloween 5, Jamie vs. Michael Myers. When I met Danielle Harris, I asked her, why did they not go in that direction of Jamie Lloyd being the killer in this movie? She told me that the writers decided not to go in that direction. Basically, they threw this idea out the window. If they went this route, it would have been interesting Jamie as the killer. It would have been like a ripoff to Bad Seed. Did they forget that Michael Myers was a kid when he first started killing people? Dr. Loomis was a dick in this movie. In the last movie, Loomis was protective of Jamie, but in this movie, he's such a jerk to her. I know he's been through a lot, he's frustrated after all the years of knowing Michael Myers could not be cured in hell, but come on! Fans have pointed out how tired and mentally exhausted he is at this point in the series. Well, once again, Donald Pleasant gives it his all, but sadly does not save the movie. It's the same old stuff we saw in the last movies, nothing different or new material for him. This time Michael Myers is played by stuntman Don Shanks. For what I read, George P. Wilbur said he was not interested in coming back to play Michael Myers again for this movie. In the last movie, George P. Wilbur had to wear hockey pads to look bulky. In this movie, Don Shanks did not wear hockey pads, because in real life he's a built-up buff dude. I'm not sure if anyone knows about Don Shanks. He's Native American and is the only Native American stuntman actor to have played Michael Myers. The movie this mask that he wears is okay. It's slightly improved a little bit better than the last one, but again, it's still not close or any better. For what I've read or watched in interviews, the mask is supposedly modeled after Don Shanks, but don't quote me on this. And just like the last stuntman, Don Shanks was sweet, kind, caring, and gentle to Danielle Harris Offset. In the documentary and interviews I watched of Don Shanks, he jokes how he felt bad he had to chase and kill her in this movie. I've also read that Don Shanks said in interviews he had to do some crazy stunts in this movie that wasn't fun and pleasant at times. Well, obviously. Like for instance, Michael Myers floating down the water, he had to grab on the net. If he didn't, he would have kept floating, could have died drowning. And the car chase sequence. He said he almost got burned and died when the car was on fire. He was waiting for the director to yell, "Cut!" Don shouted, "When the fuck are you gonna say cut?" And the director's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, cut, cut, cut." Michael Myers chasing Jamie in a car is probably worse when he walks slow, because he could have run over Jamie. The barn scene when Michael kills a couple having sex with a pitchfork, and it's probably one of the best Michael Myers kills in the series. Not to get off topic, believe it or not, Don Shanks was in Dumb and Dumber as one of the waiters that Lloyd Christmas kicks the shit out of in his dream. This is the second time we see Michael Myers unmasked. The first scene when he wakes up from his coma 1 year later, we see Michael Myers get up and grab his mask. The second scene, he takes off his mask in front of Jamie before Michael's about to kill her. Jamie shouts, "Uncle, Boogeyman." She wanted to see his face. You can barely see his face. It's dark and then the camera points to his eyes tearing up. Fans have pointed out that I agree on why Michael Myers' face does not look like a zombie or deformed face like Jason in Friday the 13th Part 7. After the fire accident in Halloween 2, I guess Michael Myers heals fast like Superman, but who knows? I could be thinking too deep into that. It just seems we don't see his face in the dark, and it's hard to see his face. I agree it's a touching moment how Michael Myers doesn't want to kill her, but he has no choice. When Dr. Loomis and the police try to trap and catch Michael Myers at his old house, it looks nothing like the old house in the first Halloween movie. It looks like a mansion. In the first movie, it looked like a regular average middle-class house. When I was a teenager, when I first saw this movie, I read a fake online rumor that supposedly this was the original house of the Munsters, but since then I realized it was only a fake online rumor. What did the Myers family do for war they had such a nice big house like this? But I read they shot this movie in Utah where The Sandlot was filmed a few years later. As I said before, this is where the film redeemed itself a little bit right here, when they try to capture Michael Myers at his old home. I like the part when Dr. Loomis tries to talk and negotiate with Michael Myers, but of course, Michael does not listen. He stabs Loomis. Michael chases Jamie around the house is good. How Jamie goes up and down the laundry chute. I read that Danielle Harris was accidentally stabbed, but thankfully the leg was prosthetic. Loomis is such a jerk. He uses Jamie as bait. He goes way too far and extreme, drops chain nets, shoots tranquilizer darts, and whacks him with a wooden plank. I've heard different opinions from fans saying that either Loomis died in this scene or he had a stroke. For me, I don't know. Just take it with a grain of salt and accept it as it is, and let's move on. Don't overthink and analyze it. Jamie does not talk until 40-something minutes in this movie. It's also not explained how she has psychic abilities. In the last movie, she had dreams about her uncle before she met and knew that she was the niece of Michael Myers. Despite this movie not being as good as Halloween 4, Danielle Harris still does a good job. She's just in a bad Halloween sequel with lazy writing. The one that makes no sense in this movie, there's some random guy dressed in a black suit. He comes out of nowhere. When I met Danielle Harris, I asked her what was the point of this character, and she says to this day she still does not know herself. The writer themselves had no idea who this man was. I read suppose he was originally going to be Michael Myers' brother, but that would not have made any sense. This is the beginning of the Thor mythology, which I'll talk about in the next video. The movie ends with Michael Myers in prison. They don't take his mask off. In the podcast I did with my friend Christian a few years back, I pointed out I'm not a psychologist. My theory on this is why the police don't take his mask off, because a mental patient get mad, upset, and OCD. If some object they really like will get mad, go crazy and bizarre when something they like is taken away from them. They won't calm down until the object is given back to them. Without the mask, Michael Myers has no identity. Then out of nowhere, the man in black in this cult helped Michael Myers escape. Jamie walks into the destroyed police station shouting, "No!" The end. The movie just should have ended with Michael Myers in prison. The movie ends on a cliffhanger and leaves the door open with a lot of unknown possibilities. They wanted to go for the 6th movie, and little did we know what to expect in the next movie. Here are my friends Joey's recording and thoughts on Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Halloween 5 is another good one of the series. It once again stars Danielle Harris, and this is from the 80s too again. And this one, there's even a scene where she takes off Michael Myers' mask in the middle of the movie, or actually it's over in the middle of it really. And that's a cool scene where you actually get to see that. And again, it stars Donald Pleasant. He's in a lot of them. That's what he's a cool character too. And Jamie Lee Curtis, she was in 1 and part 2, and then you didn't see her again until Halloween H2O. But she was in a lot of them after too. So another cool character in the series. Part 5 is another good one. Part 5 is not my top of the series, but I still have to say they're great movies. I still like these movies too. But yeah, for even 5, I like this one too, part 6, and some of the other ones. But yeah, so part 5, I still enjoy it yet. I still watch that. I know a lot to a lot of people. I guess it wasn't it wasn't, their favorite, but to me, I still like part 5. I watch it too. And that's what made it good too. And it also had special effects, and that's what made it good too. But yeah, I recommend this movie too if you haven't seen it. It's another good movie.
Oh boy. It's not a good one, but it's not the worst compared to the next one. It's not as consistently as good as Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Stay tuned for Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. It's a curse being a fan talking about the next movie. Then again, it's a curse being a Michael Myers fan when they keep making more and either works or not. And yet I keep going back to see these new crappy Halloween sequels.